Okay guys, so as you can see, I have two blades here that need to be sharpened. The blade that's over there on the kiln is brand new. The other day somebody came, I had to cut something that they wanted quickly, and I put a new blade on just in case, because I had hit the other blade and it needed sharpening. So there's two there, and then I put one back on the saw here that needs sharpening. So I'm going to work on sharpening this. Now, I've made a bunch of videos about sharpening already, and I'm just going to pretty much repeat the same thing, except there's some things that are a little bit different. As far as the tools that I use a file, three-sided file. It's like a medium grit, I guess you would call it, or a leg grit. I use this stone to take some of the burrs off, and I use this tool to put the set in the blade that I need. It's an old tool, doesn't really measure, but from what I've seen with it, the way I have it set, it seems to work really well. So just to show you, I got this on the internet somewhere. I put a tape on there because it was bugging my hand. But anyway, those are the tools I have, except for one other thing, the tool for sharpening. I normally use an air tool, but I found these little bits, and I'll show them to you here. I found these bits at a hardware store, and I want to try these and see if they work. Now, what you have to understand is, when you use a bit like this, and let me just see if I can get you zoomed into the blade here. Yeah. When you use a round bit like this, coming off the back and sharpening, now we're talking about this point, sharpening that point should be no big deal, but this in here may cause a little bit of a roundness to what's happening inside there. Now the other tool that I have doesn't do that. The air tool has a flat disc and it's round, but I use it on its side, so I'm using the straight edge. So in other words, it would be more like, you know, something like this. But this is going to be too small for me to guide myself through there, especially on the back side. I can't really reach around it. So I'm just going to see what happens going this direction and see how it sharpens. I think it might be okay. It's just going to put a little bit of a curve in that 10-degree angle that's back there. But I think it'll still be alright. So we're going to see what happens here with this. See how it works. And then you'll be able to tell with me, as I do it, what's actually going on with this thing. So let me just show you what I'm going to do here. Okay guys, so what I do, I'm hoping you can see this. Let me just turn the camera a little bit. It's up a little higher. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay, so what I normally do, this is the blade. This is where the blade was welded. I know you can't see it from your view, and I want to leave the camera where it is for a moment because I'm kind of cramped here. But right here's where the blade is welded. I always start there so I know where I am when I'm doing it. Now nobody usually bothers me when I'm sharpening a blade, although you never know what's going to happen. So I've actually touched off one of them. Now the problem with the tool, let me just get it where you can see it. The problem with the tool is how bad it's going to grind down. I mean, if this tool, if the grinding stone is a lot softer than this stuff, I'm going to have some trouble with this. But what I want to do is see, you know, how it works. So I'm just going to show you. Now, I have the saw running in reverse just because I want it to curl away from the inside of from the edge of the tooth. So in other words, this tooth, I want the blade to, I want the sharpening tool here to be turning out from that. If it's turning in, it's going to grab and want to pull around the corner. That's why I'm doing that. So this is what I'm doing. So now that's sharpening the back of the blade, and when I feel where I haven't sharpened compared to where I did sharpen, it's grabbing a hold of my finger pretty good. Now, I was going to use this on the inside of the tooth as well, but in order to use it on the inside of the tooth, it's going to have to take pretty much metal off the tooth on the inside here, on the inside of the tooth. And I don't really want to do that. So what I'm going to do is try using the drill on the back, okay, just to touch it up. And then I'm going to use this file just to knock the burr off that's in there. Yeah, and what I do is I sharpen it until it grabs a hold of my finger. Now, like where I didn't sharpen, I can rub my finger pretty much over that. Where I did sharpen, I can't really get my finger to fall off that easily. Now, it's a real touchy process, so, you know, it takes a little bit of time to learn it. And if all I have to do is just bump one or two like that, I'm fine. Now, the one thing I am thinking is, I'm looking at these teeth and they're not that bad, so this blade actually may not have needed sharpening. I might have taken this one off because I was cutting telephone poles and I didn't want to use my blade. My neighbor had given me the other two blades that needed to be sharpened, and I didn't want to use one of my blades, and neither did he want me to ruin my blade. So I'm just going to go through this thing, see how this works, and go from there. Now, the main point when you're using the drill is you have to have a flat surface here. So on this tooth where my thumb is at the moment, it's metal, clean metal all the way down through. Now if I look at this one, the bottom of this, well actually it is good. Yeah, this one's good too, and so is this one. But what I'm getting at is if you have some, when you look at the face of the tooth, in other words the part that I'm touching there, when you look at that face, if it's not shiny, you know, after you've run your sharpener through it, then you're gonna if it's not shiny all the way up and down, you're gonna have to redo it because you need to have that nice and flat. But you don't have to take a lot of metal off here to make these things work. I mean, I know I can sharpen this entire blade with this file here and I'll be in good shape. But what I like about the drill is I can sharpen a lot quicker. So I can go through a bunch of blades, you know, from here where I'm at, all the way. Let me just back you up a little bit here. I can go all the way down to, say, roughly here, where the blade, where I'm at now, and you know, I can sharpen quite a few teeth rather than taking so long to sharpen. When I first started sharpening, it took me about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half to sharpen a whole blade. Now when I'm not talking and you know I'm able to just do what I want to do, I'm not slowed down, so I can sharpen a blade in 15 minutes now, and the blades are they're nice and sharp. I don't have to really worry about them. But anyway, I'm just trying this just to see if it would work. I mean, it's an electric thing, which means I don't have to have an air compressor with me if I'm somewhere else sharpening blades for somebody. So this way here I could use maybe an electric tool. So let me just follow up with this. So you can see it's not real fast, but that doesn't matter because it's fast enough. I'm in no hurry today. It's like above 80 out here and there's no breeze whatsoever, so I'm just hoping this clouds stick around. Alright, so as I go down here, I can feel then where the tooth is the sharpest. Like right here, this one is. So this one needs a little bit of touch up, and then that's where I'll start. Now people ask me a lot of times, what angle am I cutting this at? I don't measure this angle. What I'm doing is I'm using the flat part of the file against the flat part of the blade, and I'm just filing up and down to get the little bit of burr off that rolls over. That's all I'm doing. And once I do that, I've got a nice sharp tooth there. Now sometimes you have to go over them a little bit or rotate the file to find a, you know, maybe a side's dirty or whatever, and that's what you want to fix. But what I'm after is that point that grabs a hold of my finger. Like it's grabbing it there because, you know, to pull away I have to loosen my grip on it. And again, you can file a blade with a file. You don't have to use the electric tool. I just like the idea of it. And actually the file is making this a lot smoother than what the actual grindstone is. And because this is the blade that I took off to use someone else's blade, this blade is not that dull. So it needs a little bit of sharpening. Like this is the tooth I'm looking at there at the moment where my thumb is. I can feel that that's sharp. The next one, it's a little dull. Not very much though. So technically, I can probably sharpen these with the file, and they would be fine. Now, I'm just going to say this. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't care how you file your blades. If you want to pack them up and ship them to wherever you can to get them sharpened, do it. I'm not against that. What I'm against is that where I live, it's a real pain in the butt. I'm just marking the top of the thing so I know where to go to. It's a real pain in the butt for me. This is the last tooth here. It's a real pain in the butt for me to take these blades into town. I mean, it's 20 miles, or 17 miles actually, for me to go into town. And then the worst thing about it is I never know when they're coming back. I mean, you know, they tell you a 2-day turnaround or a day turnaround, which is fine. However, when I go to get my mail, it's not in the post office, it's not coming by UPS because they don't want to drive up here because the road gets bad sometimes. So I don't know what is going on. So anyway, I'm happy to sharpen them. I bought actually 2 boxes of blades. I think there were 25 blades in a box. I bought 2 boxes of blades 4 years ago. I'm still not through the second box, and I'm very satisfied with what I have. Okay, so as long as I'm satisfied, that's all that matters. It's the same thing for you. If you want to send your blades out, send them out. It's not the end of the world. I mean, if you don't have time to sharpen them, you don't have time. That's the way it is. But I do have the time, and I'm going to sharpen it. Yeah, that's getting nice. You can really feel the difference on your finger if you're very gentle with it between what I'm got here and what I have there where it's not sharpened. So you can tell when you're sharpening that. And the back or the inside of the tooth is the part you should sharpen last. Now sometimes I'll go in here and I'll just, you know, to get it to give me a sharp tooth, but when you're done, the back or the inside is where you should finish up. So in other words, I could do this a little bit just to shine it up, and then come out here and file until I'm done filing. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the tooth is very shiny there. So they sharpen well with a file. This is the double hard wood miser blade. I like wood miser blades. I haven't changed since I've had this saw. The blades are not that expensive that, you know, the way they work wouldn't work for me. But if you want to try different blades, try them. Well, again, it doesn't matter. What matters is that they cut. That's all that matters. And that they stay as sharp as they can. Yeah, this blade's not really dull, so it's not taking me much to sharpen them up. But I do want to use the drill anyway. I want to see how these carbide things are going to hold up. Now I'm running that grinder all the way off the edge there so you can see. And I'm doing it as flat as I can so I know I'm hitting the whole surface there. Because you need that width of the tooth sharp, the whole width. You don't want point, except the wide point that's on the end of the tooth. Now if you move a little faster, you'll notice you're coming away from the tooth rather than rolling over and going around. If you roll over the tooth, then you're dulling it. So you've got to be careful with that. So if you move fast, a little fast, you can pull through and come away from the end of the tooth. One of the reasons I'm trying these different carbide sharpening tool is because, you know, some people don't have an air compressor, or they have the saw somewhere where the air compressor is not, and I'm just telling you, you know, maybe you have a generator, and if you do, you could use a drill to sharpen your stuff. Now if you look at this carbide thing here, it seems like it's holding up fairly well. I mean, I expected it to be worse than that. A lot of times you buy those sharpeners, you know, and God only knows where they're made, but a lot of times you buy them, and instead of them being, you know, a good hard carbide, they're actually soft. You know, you can feel. Yep, right here is the last one. Okay, that's the last place I sharpened, because you can feel how tight it is. So I'll just go over that just to be certain. This one here definitely feels, yeah, good. So what I'm doing here is, imagine I'm running the drill this way. It's peeling this metal and turning it around the point slightly. Now you can't really see this, but I can feel it. I know it's happening because I feel it. So that's why I'm cutting those burrs off then on the opposite side. So I like to shine up this side so I can see the whole face of the metal, and then just go ahead and touch that up. Again, I don't care how you do yours. Do it any way you want, as long as it sharpens it. I've seen guys do it on a grinder, on a bench grinder, or I've seen them do it all kind of ways, just with a stone. All I'm saying is whatever works for you, use it. So I'm trying this drill thing because it's a different way of holding it. It's a different idea behind cutting, and I just want to make sure that, you know, I can do all kind of different things in case I need to. Sometimes we get stuck in a rut with one way of doing stuff, and the next thing you know, the tool breaks, or you don't have, like I say, or an air compressor available, and you have no way of sharpening yourself out of the fix. Well, I don't like being stuck. Yeah. What's guiding me, just so you know, is my eyes are telling me whether that is where it should be. Like, I'm turned away from it, I'm turned in too far from it because I can see a hole back there. I'm right against the metal in that full width of the blade, and that's what you want. Just so you know, I'm relying on my sense of feel more than my vision, because I really can't see what I'm doing close up like this. I can't see, you know, whether the blade's real sharp. I can see the shiny part knowing that I've got the whole blade done, but that's all I can see. I can't see that point, so I feel the point. One of the things I also wanted to talk about while I'm doing this is that I've been fasting, trying to lose weight. My problem is I think I'm still eating too much supper, but they say you should, when you're fasting and you decide to eat, that you should eat enough to fill you. And I do eat quite a bit. I'm not afraid to eat, but you know, it doesn't seem like it's working with my weight here too well. But I'm still hanging in there. I started lifting weights again at night, and I'm doing a little more walking. I found that walking the dog is a little hard on me because he wants to go and he doesn't want to stop. So even if I have a collar on him, I don't like stopping him. I like to let him go, but I can't keep up with them. So I just walk first, come back, and then I grab the dog for another walk. I walk the dog with me the one time, but then I walk him with the four-wheeler so that he can do what he wants, and then I get to sit rather than walk. Okay, so right here's where I ended. I'm gonna start again with the grinder and work my way back through there again. Yeah, these grindstones, I forget the name of the place where I bought these. It's a kind of a big hardware store that sells all kinds of junk. It's not it's not really a well-known one. I think it's a General Hardware or something. I can't remember it, but from in my neck of the woods, they're in Williamsport. Okay, to just get back to what I was saying about the fasting. So I've been fasting for 20 hours. So in other words, I stop eating at 5 o'clock at night. My wife makes breakfast dinner a little early, so we both finish eating at 5, and I don't eat anything until 1 o'clock the next day. So I don't know, it's probably, I'm just guessing, 12 o'clock. I haven't eaten yet. At 1 o'clock she'll probably call me, or I'll be done sharpening and I'll go over and do it. But I think I've been eating too much. I think what's happening here is I was actually on a better diet before, but I was taking too much insulin, and the insulin was keeping me from losing weight. Right now I'm down to about 100 units a day. Now that's still a lot because Sally's only taken 8. So, you know, the insulin, according to the doctors that I've listened to online, and you know, half of them are okay, the other half, I don't know. But I'm just saying, you know, there's a lot of things you can listen to, a lot of things you can do. So once this thing starts working, the one thing I do know is since I started fasting, I have a lot more energy. I mean, the fact that I can lift weight and go for a walk, I haven't been doing that all last winter, and I used to do it every day. That is really helping me. So I feel good about that. You know, it is what it is. You gotta put your effort into it and try and work it out. I have some people online who are helping me with some good words, and that's one of the things that, you know, it's helping me to keep going. And then I pass some things on to Sally, because Sally don't like dieting. She's only 126 pounds. She don't need to diet, and I know she doesn't. But what she does need is to change the blood sugar regimen that she's taking. She needs to get off of insulin, and I see her getting off of it by her diet a lot faster than I do. Because for one thing, Sally will eat anything just about. Me, I'm spoiled. I ate meat and potatoes all my life. That's what I like, that's what I want, but I can't have that anymore. The meat, yes. The potatoes, no. So, I got to do something. So here's what I've been doing. Now, a lot of people, they tell you about dieting, but they never tell you what the heck to eat or how to go about doing it. So all I'm saying is that at this stage of the game, I still haven't lost any more weight than the 250 that I weigh. I did go from 260 to 250. I'm not happy about that, but I'm trying to do these different things. For instance, like, I've never fasted in my life. This is the first time I've fasted, and I'm surprised at how easy it is. But I don't want to just go jumping eating once a day and be done. So at this point, I'm eating lunch, I'm eating supper, but I think I'm eating more than I normally do for lunch and supper. So I need to try and, you know, cut down on that. So we're trying different foods where you can still get a bulk of food and not be so full. Or not, well, you want to be full, but you don't want to be, you know, full of food that's not letting you lose weight. So what we're going to try tonight is eating cabbage with the meat. We're not really going for a diet here. What we're going for is to see if we can make cabbage with different kinds of meat, you know, effectively enough to taste good, and then we'll concentrate on losing a little bit of, you know, how much we eat. So that's just, you know, the way it is at the moment. Yeah, that's coming nice. Again, you want to make sure you do the inside last, but what I'm doing is I'm just shining the face up. The grinder's a little bit rough, so I'm just making that a little smoother. That's all I'm doing there. As long as that thing grabs my finger, it's sharp enough to cut wood. What I did notice about the blades, these double hard blades from Wood Miser, is that if I'm cutting red oak, I'll be lucky to get halfway through the day. You know, if I cut 4 big logs, I'm pretty much had it. The blade is starting to get dull already. But with hemlock, I've been cutting hemlock with this blade, oh man, for a couple of months, and it just doesn't seem to want to get dull, and I'm happy with that. So it seems like hemlock, you know, and we know hemlock's a soft wood, but I'm just saying that you can notice the difference in your cutting, in your saw blade. Yeah. So I usually put some kind of a scuff mark there to find or clean the blade off a little bit just to find where I was, but technically you can feel it. Now a guy had a good idea, and if you want to do this you can. I'm not going to do it because I'll probably lose the thing anyway. But he was saying if you have a clothespin, you put a clothespin on the last one you did, and when you move it, you know, you'll know where you are. That's actually a good idea. I used to use a marker. The problem with a marker is you know, it takes a little bit of time for the mark to wear off with the rubber blade, with the rubber guides that are running the blade. So sometimes you still have marks on there, and their marks are not true because they're from the previous time. But usually they come right off once you cut, you know, something a little bit. But anyway, yeah, this is how I do it. I take my time with it, and I'm fine. And listen, you guys who are saying I'm talking too much, there are a million other channels about cutting. Go watch them. This is how I do my thing. I'm not interested in your advice on what I should do, okay? Because this is just me. This is all I'm doing just to do it. I'm not going into business doing this. The only thing I wish I did have was I wish I had a camera with a remote mic. And the camera I have don't have that. Don't have the ability to do that. So I don't do it. But one of these days, that's what I'm going to pick up. But anyway, so I'm right here. So all I do is turn the wheel to get that thing pretty much to a point where I'm right here now. I can go ahead and sharpen the rest of these. So that's how I sharpen the blade. I'm going to go through the whole thing there. Now as far as adjusting the blade with this, whether it goes up or down, and you can feel like this blade is down, this blade is up. You can feel it by running your hand this direction, okay? When you hit the tooth edge and it picks up on your finger, and again, I'm using my sense of touch here a lot because I can't really see it. So when I go this direction, it's, you know, it's telling me it's going up. So in order to get this thing to be where it should be, you know, I would put the tool on there and just squeeze it hard, and that pretty much puts them where they should be. Now, sometimes you want to go backwards with some of them, and you can. I mean, like, this one goes down. So I could push this back and then turn it around and put it back on and bring it to what, you know, it normally wants to do. So you got to have a feel for different things, and this is how I do mine. And this works for me. I mean, I've shown you videos where I've taken the blade and immediately started cutting with it, and I have no problem. It's just a matter of, you know, you get a feel for how you need to do it, and once you know how to do it and you have the feel for it, you're off and running. It's not hard. People have been sharpening things for thousands of years. I mean, if you can sharpen a rock with another rock like flint, you should certainly be able to sharpen this thing with, you know, all the tools we have nowadays. So I want to go back a little bit there. Yeah, right there. Alright, so we're going to start here now. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, we're going to start here and work our way down again. So anyway, getting back to that thing about fasting. So what we've been eating, and we found out that it doesn't do anything to our blood sugar. Now, I haven't lost weight, but and I want to really bad. However, getting my blood sugar down is important as well. So here's what I've been doing. My wife has been making peppers, tomatoes, and onions as the basis for our suppers, and then adding meat to it. She might add hamburger to it. She might make it with chicken. She might, and then she'll do some other things, like instead of regular chili with hamburger, we had chili with chicken the other day. Yes, it tastes different. It doesn't taste like regular chili, but it was good. So, you know, that's what we had. And I can make it through the night eating stuff like that. Now, I was eating 2 great big bowls that were like the size of a pie bowl, and now I've cut down to the next size down. I ate a bowl and a half last night, and I have to see what's going to happen. But I'm mainly interested in what's happening with the diabetes. And you know, they tell you can't use the glucose level to tell you anything. Well, I don't know, you know, I never saw a doctor who was good at math, so I am good at math, and I figure out how and what I can do with that glucose number. So one thing about it is you can tell whether your insulin levels are going down over a series of a week. You can tell how much insulin you're still taking, and I've cut mine in half, but I'm still taking a lot. There's a lot of things you can tell. The only thing is I'm using needles, or not needles, but test strips like you wouldn't believe. But anyway, it's just part of, you know, the process to see what's going to happen. All right, I'm going to sharpen more. What I'm doing is, when you see me going over it, I'm looking to have that whole shiny surface. I can only see a shine. That's what I'm after. So like this has dirt on it, so when I go over it, I can tell whether it's shiny the whole width or not. It takes about that much. Well, just so you know also, in case I haven't said it, the blade is tight in the saw. I mean, I have the handle up, it's tight in there, so you know, that helps it to keep from moving. If it was fluttering up and down, I wouldn't be able to get a nice flat surface on there. Okay, so I basically showed you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing going through all of this, but I did want to tell you about what's going on with the losing weight stuff, because the people who are helping me and writing, you know, good things to me to listen to, I want them to know, you know, that they are helping and that, you know, it's the way it is. Of course, at my age and even throughout my life, I've pretty much been able to change things quickly when I know what to change to. I've never had a doctor that has diabetes. I've had 4 different let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different doctors, mainly because of them moving on. But I've had 5 different doctors, and none of them have ever told me that I shouldn't be putting too much insulin in me. They just keep saying use more insulin. So I can't find a doctor that likes the idea of not using insulin. Or not using. So I've been using the videos, and again, they're hard. But that's what I've been doing. That's the UPS guy. He wasn't coming here, but anyway. The guys who are doing the gas wells have made the road fairly decent, so there's no reason for them not to come up here, other than it's just a 5.5 mile trip off the main path. So they don't like that, because to get from here to somewhere else, you gotta have lived here so you know where the heck you're going. Some of the guys that they hire to do the delivering, they don't know where they're at. Okay, so I'm going to stop the camera there so you guys aren't bored stiff. And I hope you enjoyed what you did see and hearing about the little bit of dieting thing I've been on. If you're interested in you know exactly what kind of food we're eating and how we make it, I'd be happy to tell you that. I'm not going to do it now because it's supposed to be a woodcutting channel. So anyway, I'm just saying that's what I'm going through and that's what I got to do. Have a good one, guys.
She came early.
You didn't have the food out yet, so they came and left.
They left. They just left now. I can still see one of them. See him?
I see them.